Alright, and welcome again in another tutorial of the topic differentiation. So in this tutorial, we're going to introduce the concept of partial derivatives. So this happens when you have a function of more than one variables, okay? Hapa kuna variable x na variable y. So when I find the partial derivative of f with respect to x, manake y na I keep constant. Y is kept constant, okay? That's partial derivative. Partial derivative ni kwamba when you find the partial derivative of a function with respect to of a function of several variables with respect to one of the variable, the other variables are kept constant. Na alama yake ni hii. Okay? Hii ndio alama yake. Tofautisha hii alama ya partial derivative na ile ya derivative ni d tu ya kawaida, df dx. Hii tunaona ipo kama sita fani imegeuzwa, and then tofautisha na ile delta, ile ya change in f over change in x, okay? They're different. So functions of several variables ni kama hii volume of a cylinder. You can see tuna r humo na tuna h. Au kama area of a rectangle tuna l na tuna w. Au kama labda hii function fxy ambapo tuna x squared plus y squared minus 2xy. Kwa tuna variable mbili, tuna x na tuna y. So I can find the partial derivative labda of f with respect to x, au partial derivative of f with respect to y kwa equation hii, okay? So I mean nikitafuta partial derivative of f with respect to x, manake I keep y constant. Wakati nikitafuta partial derivative of f with respect to y, manake I keep x constant. So let's have some example ndo kitaeleweka, okay? So I call this example 1. So it says find partial derivative of z with respect to x if z is just equal to ln xy. All right. So now z sasa na ln xy ndo na solve. Z manake sasa na ln x plus ln y, okay? So the partial derivative now of z with respect to x, manake nafanya vile vile kama kwenye derivative ya kawaida. Manake hii ya kwanza na derive with respect to x, na hii ya pili na yenyewe ln y with respect to x. So I mean the partial derivative now of z with respect to x, nikidifferentiate ln x napata 1 over x, okay? Lakini nisema the other variable is kept constant, so y is constant, okay? So when you differentiate the constant, you get 0. So you can see that the partial derivative of z with respect to x is just 1 over x. Yeah. So the other variable is kept constant, hiyo ndo partial derivative. Now see example 2, tuimarisha uelewa. Call this example 2. So example 2 says that find partial derivative of z with respect to y if z is equal to x squared y cube. So now from z equals to x squared y cube, partial derivative sasa of z with respect to y, manake na huku ni hiyo x squared y cube. So I differentiate with respect to y partial derivative, so x is kept constant. Kama x is kept constant, manake itatoka nje, okay? So nakumbuka constant inatoka nje. Kwa hiyo ni vile vile kama kule. The only difference now, a variable is kept constant. So remain is y cube. So nikiderive y cube with respect to y, what do I get? To make exponent rule, okay, I get x squared. This one is just 3y squared, okay? Ndo hii niki, so the final answer is just 3xy squared, okay? So I have found the partial derivative of z with respect to y. Okay, so this one is my my partial derivative of z with respect to y. This one. So let's see another example now. Okay, call this example 3. It says find, so we're going to look for both. We're going to find the partial derivative of z with respect to x and the partial derivative of z with respect to y, okay, of the function 3x plus y squared, okay? So we can use the chain rule. So our z is equal to, so of the function z is equal to 3x plus y squared, okay, evil. So our z is equal to 3x plus y squared. I'm going to let w is equal to 3x plus y. So my z is equal to w squared, okay? So the partial derivative now of z with respect to x tuanze nayo, naweza nikatumia chain rule, okay? Z na w alafu w na x, okay? So from here hapa z is equal to w squared, I can just find, kwa sababu hiyo ni variable moja, it's simple, it's just 2w, okay? Lakini hapa kwenye w is equal to 3x plus y, if I look for the partial derivative of w with respect to x, make y is kept constant, okay? Kwa hiyo hii itakuwa ni, we're gonna have our 3x x, okay? So y is kept constant x, okay? Zote ni x. So hapa manake partial derivative yangu, okay, hapa nitatoa nje 3, nitabaki na x plus this one is y x. So y is kept constant, so it's just 0 plus 3 times 1, okay? So this one is the partial derivative of w with respect to x, okay? So the partial derivative of w with respect to x is just 3 eventually. So I'm going to take this times this to obtain this delta z, I mean not delta, sorry, partial derivative of z with respect to x. So my partial derivative now of z with respect to x is just going to be equal to 2w times 3, which is equal to 6w. But w is equal to 3x plus y, kwa jibu ni 6 3x plus y, ambao sasa mtu aseme to 18x plus 6y. So the partial derivative of z with respect to x is what? 18x plus 6y. So now, what about the partial derivative of z with respect to y? Yeah, function ile ile. So our z was 3x plus y squared, okay? So again, I'm going to let w is equal to 3x plus y. Manake z is just w squared. So my partial derivative of z with respect to y is just going to be equal to d, I mean, not d, partial derivative of z with respect to w times partial derivative of w with respect to y now, not x, okay? So from this one, z equals to w squared, I can get the partial derivative of z with respect to w, it's going to be 2w. And from this one, w is equal to 3x plus y. I'm going to look for the partial derivative of w with respect to y. Manake x will be kept constant. So it's 3x with y plus y. So x is kept constant and 3 is constant. Total in constant is 0. Hapa tabaki na 1. So this one is a partial derivative of w with respect to y is 1. So from chain rule, I'll multiply this and this to obtain partial derivative of z with respect to y. So it's just going to be 2w times 1, which is just 2w. But w is equal to 3x plus y. So finally, partial derivative of z with respect to y is just going to be equal to 2 times 3x plus y, which is just equal to 6x plus 2y. So here ndo concept ya partial derivative. So we are not going to move on further. Ina maswali yake magumu mengi ila sio level sana ya advanced, okay? Chuo kikuu huko au from 6 I think. Okay? So kwa topic sasa ya differentiation, tutaishia hapo. This is our last tutorial. So the next tutorial I make itakuwa ni topic mpya, integration. So guys, see you in the next tutorial where we will be integrating.